Do you think your criticisms of Twitch reflect a sort of a dumbing down of internet media as a whole? No. I feel like the majority of content is heading in the direction you've described. Yes. What I will say is the internet is a very broad place. When people talked about it in the early 00s, they talked about how this would be something that would revolutionize everything because you would have access to any kind of information or media or whatever that you would want, and that people would select things that are intelligent, and people would try to use this as a tool to learn, that people would treat it as a giant repository of knowledge, and they didn't. Because people didn't do that already with what existed. People didn't go to libraries to just read forever because, oh my God, there's a billion books here, and this is the collection of all of human intelligence in like one place that's in the downtown of every major city, right? In beautiful buildings, oftentimes. I know at least in Huntington Beach, where I live, which is not a huge city, the Huntington Beach, the downtown library is beautiful. It's put in a giant park. It was designed like way back in the day. It looks really cool. It has like a waterfall in the middle of it and nice ambiance and lots of books and historical records about the city. But people don't spend all their time in libraries the same way that people on the internet don't spend all their time on intellectual endeavors. I think ultimately it comes down to what you choose to do. There's a lot of restaurants outside. There's healthy stuff. There's vegan stuff. There's stuff that helps you bulk up for, working out. But people don't pick that. People will have Mexican tacos. People will have elote. People are going to pick other stuff, right? I don't want to say that the internet on the whole is this negative way, because it's not. It has a lot of different stuff. It's you who chooses to consume stuff that's not good. I would like to think that the people that come to this channel may have a little bit of a different taste in what kind of content they want to consume, right? And this is also part of why I want to return to these kinds of intellectual, remember, on the one side, and creative on the other side, things to do in my spare time. Because I think they produce content that is more of the variety that I want to see more of on the internet. Something that's popular, something that's entertaining, something you can put on in the background and really listen to and become engaged in, the way that people do with Joe Rogan or other podcast people. But it is giving you a lot, or is tickling that itch in your brain, or is encouraging you to go out and do those sorts of things in your own life, that's kind of improving you in a way that watching Super Mega draw pictures while smoking won't. The majority of the content on there, sure, is trending in this direction, but there's a lot of good stuff. You just need to look for it. There are a lot of creators like me, maybe that are more boring, I would like to say, but are still things that you're going to get a lot out of. So no, I think it comes down to your diet on the internet, really. As much as I enjoy raging at you guys and roasting you, I think that there was a balance that I used to strike that hasn't been there in the last few streams, and I want to get back to that. Like, trying hard to give you guys good answers, I think, is valuable. So I'll keep trying to. Digital hygiene is overlooked for sure. Yeah, and there's a buzzword that I wish would catch on more. Another quality that I would give to Twitch and internet politics and Twitter and all of this is it's cyclical. If anybody has ever either smoked a lot of weed or done hallucinogenics, you know how you loop, right? That's kind of where the looping meme comes from in Steven's community. There are like time loops that you go on. That kind of looping and the discomfort in it is what I feel when I look at a meta level as like how the internet is thinking about things in these spaces. It's very cyclical. It's handled in the same way every single time. Drama comes up. Everybody responds to it in the most reactionary way that they possibly can, or in their personal branded way. Like Irrelevant will go through it and wonder, where is the evidence for these different things? How am I going to parse this information in a way where like the most valid statements are the ones I'm trying to make? Dylan Burns will do funny things and bring in his own experience and shill on top of it. Destiny will go through it and look at the logic of everything and talk about anything that he thinks is stupid or is not a good argument. Everybody uses their branded reaction to the thing. And then new information about the thing will come out, like No Comment Chick randomly, I guess, revealing clips or something of what had actually happened way after the fact, after she was pestered to provide it for a long time, or Robert coming back 3 months later and giving something, or Anna waiting God knows how long since she initially had the falling out with Steven to come out with this document. These things happen way, way later, and nobody gives a fuck because it's already done, and there's nothing to be gained by talking about it, really. And unless everybody else picks up on it and the ball starts rolling on everybody being informed about it enough to care about what their favorite streamer thinks, it will never catch on, and it'll never happen, right? There are very obvious cycles to how things happen. And everybody's content is like that too. You look at Steven, what does he do? He goes on his Twitter, he posts something ridiculous, worded in a very particular way to kind of bait in people that want to interpret it in a negative way. He basically dresses up an argument to kind of look vaguely like something that people hate or people would be very like prone to adamantly argue against. And then people come and they go on to his stream and they give him content and he roasts them because they're interpreting the thing in an uncharitable way that's actually predictable. And that's probably why he sets up the tweets the way that he does, right? Everybody has these cycles. Once I realize that there is a cycle, I become disinterested. I feel like I have done 99% of the work in terms of like brain power. And unless the cycle is interesting to me intrinsically, like the way that Adam Savage answers questions in his Q&As, I'm not interested. If you're not incorporating some kind of knowledge base or new thing or nuanced information or takes, like the depths of which I don't understand, I'm just not interested. Like that's what I like about Supreme, is Supreme will bring in information he has about his understanding of Chinese or film history or his time in the military or traveling, this big depth of knowledge, of experience that I don't know the bottom of because he hasn't produced content for 10 years, right? I don't have an idea of like how he responds to things. I don't see the loops. I see the loop in how the content works, but there is this added like chemical X that I don't know about. And so I find it interesting to continue to engage with this stuff. Irrelevant, I see the extent of that, and so it doesn't interest me as much anymore. I still think his content is interesting. I think his thought process is valuable, much more valuable than other React people, but it doesn't interest me because I know the depth of that thing, and so it doesn't surprise me anymore. Same with Steven. Steven has a very large depth to like the information that he's drawing on and the arguments and his experiences. But having watched him for a long time and having seen the backlog of his content, I know the depths of it. And he's gotten very comfortable with just like reusing stuff over and over. And so like, that's not very interesting to me anymore. So in any case, this is a very long-winded way, a Richard Wolff way of explaining that when I see those cycles and they're not incorporating some chemical X that I don't know about, I just lose interest in them. These loops are, by definition, not trying to solve problems. From an academic perspective, getting to an answer isn't remotely relevant. If the loops keep producing energy, the system will keep its momentum. Yeah. The purpose of academic endeavors is very different, right? Like, we're trying to build on a knowledge base and we're trying to pinpoint what the shades of gray are. We're trying to come up with hex codes for them. In academia, even if something is a gray area, you want to have a better understanding of what the shade of gray is. Whereas on Twitch, you just want to know where is the black, where is the white. I don't give a fuck about the gray. Who cares? Everybody wants their money. They can go ahead and get their money. It's just, I think that there are more interesting ways of getting money. I want to build a brand on something where you guys don't necessarily know where I'm going with things. I think when people watch my reviews, they're constantly interested in like what I discover. Even if the process is the same every time, the same way it is with Relly, I would like to think that I try to incorporate like new ways of explaining things or look for what people missed rather than harp on what people already understand. That's why the Destiny versus Wolf thing focuses on things that the audience missed with Steven's arguments. And while there is stuff in there about how Wolf failed rhetorically and the whole audience think he lost, there's a lot of time and energy spent on showing you guys something new, right? Same with the Robert thing. Is nobody going to talk about how like Steven did this shit in private and Steven was working on this forever and Steven doesn't like the guy? Is nobody really? I love the dude and I think he's correct in this instance, but it's probably worth like giving people a more holistic way of handling things, so that if this comes up in the future with a different creator that they're in love with, they can try to do that again, right? Sometimes people think it's like both sidesing, or sometimes people think it's like a devil's advocate or whatever, and it's like, yeah, whatever. But, you know, it's just trying to add something new. I would like to like make it much longer.